We can't start laying people off right now. I can tell you that I met last Thursday with every department head in town, and we went over line by line, like we usually do in January, looking for money to cut. There's money. There's programs that won't be executed. There's capital that won't be purchased. There's cuts in hours of programming and all that, and we'll find some money, but it will add up to, if it added up to $400,000 on the town side, I think that I don't want to speak for the Board of Ed, but I think they're at the $500,000 or $600,000 number that they could possibly cut. Some of it's deferred maintenance. Some of it is inspections that need to be done, but we can wait till July 1st into the next budget. But they need to be done. And maintenance, deferring maintenance, all you're doing is passing a bill on that will only exacerbate in the future. So we are still waiting for a budget. We can't do much. I'll say that we get to January 1st and we're sitting here like this. Then we're talking massive layoffs. The unions have been notified already that we'll be bringing them back in. We'll be talking about not furlough days, but dropping the town hall hours to 4 days a week, dropping department heads and union employees working a 30-hour work week, et cetera, and dropping significant programming. Right now, all the budgets have been frozen. Department heads have been told that the 5% cuts in each and every department that we talked to on Thursday, that is the budget they'll live with until so the state budget comes out and we can readjust the numbers. There's a Board of Finance meeting next week where they'll be kind of talking the same thing. I don't know if anything will come out of Hartford between now and next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. If so, then we'd be able to talk about real numbers and how to get it. Is it supplemental tax bill? Is it dipping into the reserves, which will crush our bond rating and will be and crush our cash flow? We use our budget reserves. We like some people use their overdraft protection in their checking account every once in a while when it gets below zero. We do that here because of the cash flow. The payroll goes out, but the income hasn't come in certain quarters. So we can't just go scoop out our rainy day fund because then there's no safety net. And we need the safety net on a monthly or quarterly, certainly semi-annual basis when certain bond payments are due, but tax bills haven't caught up yet with the taxpayers. We're fully aware we need to cut back. We've been cutting back everywhere we can. We run a very efficient government, and we're going to have to do without of a whole lot of things coming up in the current years. This is an awful time to work for a municipality, to represent a municipality, but leaders lead. No one's running away from the problem, and we'll figure out a way to get through it because there is another side to this. There is the get through it, and there is the other side. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It's just a long tunnel. It might be a 5 or 10 year tunnel. This might be a very bleak time for a while until a leader can get in there, and we elect leaders in the legislature that can work together and figure a way out of this. I will be happy to, since it is a discussion from this board, if anyone else has any comments or ideas. Or should we wait till another day?
The only comment I have is a wish that it gets done sooner rather than later, because the further you go into the year, the more drastic the cuts are going to have to be made to make up for any decrease in what we receive from the state, and you have less time to recoup it.
Correct. As of today, we're 28 or 29% through the year. We almost look at that weekly, right? Anna and I go through the numbers. We know exactly where we are, and we're looking at that stuff, and we're looking at how budgets are spent and who's going over and under. All department heads are on notification. Do not overspend your budgets, and they were all just dropped 5%. And some, it's blood, to try to get to 5%. So, yeah, sooner rather than later, it'd be better off just getting something so we can move on. Because, you know, if it's dramatic, if it's deep, if it's 2 million, and we're not doing our cuts until January 1st, then it's really a $4 million cut in the cutting side, because you have to make up half a year that you've already spent. Quite dramatic. We'll get through it. We'll lead through it. But we're preparing our citizens that supplemental tax bills and increases. I mean, the state is going to force property taxes dramatically higher in the state of Connecticut. Discussion, sign call, I guess it is. The town, is there more comments?
And one thing I liked that I saw, I think several of the town leaders pointed out that if they're going to put the camel's nose under the tent, which means the camel eventually comes in, they have to do something, and I know Holly has talked about this too, backing off on the unfunded mandates. You can't, we talked about taxation without representation. This is absurd. I understand the need to help people who genuinely need help, but now we're bailing out people who constantly are towns that have constantly made bad decisions. We've tried very hard to build a reserve like some other towns have, and bond ratings are going to be affected, quality of life is going to be affected. It's just inconceivable to think that, the funds of Connecticut are now in the hands of one individual. So that's my only comment.
Any other comments? Trying to stay apolitical here. Just we want to see a resolution. Thank you, Holly, for all the time you put in. I spoke to Senator Formica before the meeting to get an update, and the work that you both are doing to represent the citizens of East Lyme is appreciated. And I know it must be very frustrating because you reported in on January 4th and really had nothing to show for it. Thank you.
Sign call.
Sign call.
Town of East Lyme notice of special town meeting. Notice is hereby given of a special town meeting of the Town of East Lyme to be held on October 18th, 2017 at 7 p.m. at the East Lyme Town Hall for the following purposes. 1, establish a CNRE account for the purpose of acquiring police vehicles. 2, approve a special appropriation in the amount of $17,500 received from the sale of the state police radios and equipment no longer needed to revenue account 01-08-800-817 miscellaneous police, and to establish a budget account titled PS Police Portable Radios for the purchase of new town portable radios. 3, amend the special appropriation in the amount of $76,854 approved at a special town meeting on August 16th, 2017 for the purpose and installation of a boiler replacement in East Lyme Community Center as follows. $38,400 Eversource incentive to replace heating equipment, original amount $13,800. $3,374 in account 32-70-300-500-005 HVAC pump replacement, townwide, original amount $27,974. 4, to transact any other business proper to come before the meeting, dated at East Lyme, Connecticut, this 4th day of October 2017, East Lyme Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Well done, Deputy. Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll see you in 2 weeks. Last is the appointment of Maggie Prokop to the Historic Society.
Historic
Smith
Properties.
Harris?
Historic Properties.
Historic
Commission.
Properties,
As an alternate.
not HSC.
Yeah. So I'll move to appoint Maggie Prokop to the Historic Properties Commission as an alternate member with a term to expire on January 6th, 2020.
20,020. Really?
Yeah.
2020?
Second.
Yeah, Maggie has already long served this town, I think, on that commission, so no resume is needed. We were sorry to see her resign to create Rome, and we're glad to see her come back as we need dedicated people on that commission. And Maggie certainly is one of them.
She was working, she told me about her desire to do this when she was working at the Bike and Barbecue the other day.
Yeah.
She was volunteering her time there.
Good for her. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay. Ex officio reports. Mrs. Hardy, want to start us tonight?
Shirley. Right, from the most recent Board of Education meetings, of course, we were all together for the joint meeting, which preceded their last meeting. Basically, discussion at both meetings about the school alteration projects with updates by the architect and ONG. Discussion of several long-range plans for related to district improvement and individual schools improvements. A redistricting update, although there was not a report from the group a formal report from the group that they have hired to assist with that. They were informed that that work is ongoing. There was a draft of the school calendar for the year 2018-19. No action taken on that. And last night I attended the Planning Commission meeting, and they discussed a review request from KSK Associates for a proposed subdivision of land at Goldfinch Terrace, Egret, and Cedarbrook Lane, which would involve a re-subdivision of about 33 acres. This abuts the property that we referred to earlier as the Woodsman's Trust property. And secondly, they discussed a referral from the Zoning Commission on a text amendment proposal related to some ongoing work at the Gateway Development Project. They took no action on that. They're going to have a special meeting and draft a response to the Zoning Commission's request. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Hardy. Let's go over to Mr. Daigle. Yeah,
No meeting since our last meeting.
perfect. Mr. Cunningham. Right. Oh, we didn't call that, did we? I'll make that announcement. Oh, you know, it's just in your communications packet, but I'll make a comment to that. Thank you. Thank you.
So let's see, the Smith Harris House, Smith Harris Commission, they have invited the Selectmen, first Selectmen and the board to join them on Saturday from 11:30 to 12:30 to participate in their strategic plan. So we're invited to that. Also, as was well publicized around town, there was the bike and barbecue event, and they had a beautiful day. It looks like that really, I haven't heard the figures yet, but it sounds like it really went off well, and was a nice little fundraiser for the three historic properties to share in the town. So, and then at the Smith Harris House, there's also a couple of events coming up. There's the around Halloween. There's the where you put your
Trick or
candy-
trunk?
Trick
Trick
or
or
trunk.
trunk.
Trick or trunk?
I couldn't think of the word. Trick or trunk, that's gonna happen. And then there's this Walk of Horrors event happening out by Smith Harris as well around Halloween. So, a couple of things going on down there, and it sounds like they did well with their bike and barbecue. That's
They
it.
sure did.
Yep.
Mr. Siri?
Okay, just from Parks and Rec, they haven't had a meeting. They'll meet a week from tomorrow, but the Trick or Trunk is on the 25th of the month. It's right in the circle there. Get a couple hundred kids anyway. They show, I think I mentioned, they show the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, on a big screen there. And the horror walk there apparently is very scary from what I've heard for some people. So that's it. No other. And you'll probably talk to the Trick or Trunk. I mean the bike and barbecue.
Well, I think it was covered, and they did a great job. I heard they raised about $5,000.
They netted over $5,000
Net.
for the historic properties and the
historic properties and open
One
spaces.
improvement from the year before, and everything went their way.
Oh,
And
yeah.
good weather.
Yeah.
Good
And
weather.
This is going to grow
That's
and
great.
grow.
Absolutely.
Saturday, the day before, was Shred Day. Our Police Benevolent Association, Eastline Police, offer that free service to citizens to come down and shred. That was last Saturday. And yesterday, I went to the L&M Hospital, where L&M Hospital is donating Narcan to area police stations. Narcan is the drug that saves lives. people in opioid overdose situations. And L&M is being a community partner by donating Narcan to area police, and they had a little function, an announcement yesterday, and we picked up our Narcan. We were the first town to receive that a year ago, that gift from L&M Hospital, and they've expanded their gift to the communities, and we received an additional share. Of course, I mentioned the CCM meetings and the Connecticut Council of Municipalities, which are, again, just really tuned into what's going on at the state, bringing up suggestions. And there's prevailing wage issues, there's arbitration issues that are just not going to be settled this time around, but could do a world of good for the communities. You know full well, because you sat here and told me all about it just a year and change ago. Bike and barbecue, shred day. And we mentioned already that I've met with all the town department heads, and we're looking for 5% give backs from all the departments. We can't get that from, it's tough to get that from most all the departments. They don't have quite that much in the give, but we're close to that in some of them. Some I can get about 1% out of. We run a thin budget. Blessing of the Animals is this Saturday. Father Tony started this 2 or 3 years ago, noon to 2 at St. John's Green. I think it's Saturday the 7th. Could be Sunday. Oh my God, now I don't know. Well, check Facebook, because Father Tony's all over it, and he's a great community leader, and it'll be on St. John's Green. I do believe that's at 10/7. And that's all I have for right now. Obviously, we're busy in town. What's next on our agenda?
Public comment.
Public comment. Thanks, Mr. Gaishel.
Good evening again. Dave Godbout, 15 Cardinal Road. Just want to comment on some of the, specifically one thing that the first selectman noted in reference to our budget, and people becoming aware of who is not cooperating in reference to the budget issues and all that. Of course, that requires information to be made available to the public. There is a court case pending before New Britain currently. HBB CV, you should be writing this down. HBB CV 17-6035-943S. This is a public meeting appeal from the city of Meriden, wherein the city was found guilty of violating the FOIA Act because 2 members of an agency were meeting without activating the requirements required by our public meetings laws. And of course, members of the legislature are also subject to the same laws that this body is and other agencies are. I'm sure Representative Cheeseman, who acknowledged that the leaders have been meeting behind closed doors, because I haven't been noted any agendas for those type of leaders meeting. I'm sure that Representative Cheeseman is not happy that she cannot attend, and neither am I. Couple years ago, in 2013, a bill was considered, number 1148. Should be writing this down, but you can go to the legislative webpage and search out that 2013 1148 bill. That was meant for the leaders to be exempt from activation of our open meetings laws, the requirements to produce an agenda, a notice, and a record of the proceedings of the meeting to the general public. And that bill was resoundingly rejected by the General Assembly. It never even made it out of committee. So in 2013, Bill 1148 was considered to make an exception to our open meetings laws for the members of the leaders of the General Assembly, and it was rejected. But yet, we hear now today from Representative Cheeseman that the leaders have been acting as if that law passed, when it did not. So if Mr. Nickerson is really concerned about the people being more involved and learning more about the government, especially at the state level for the General Assembly, he should be filing complaints, as the town can. in reference to the budget meetings that are going on right now behind closed doors, where the town is not invited to join, or any member of the public is invited to join. If your goal is to have people hold elected officials accountable at the ballot box, we have to know exactly what is going on in reference to the budget. Right now, the budget is being produced by closed-door meetings, backdoor meetings. Nobody's invited to them. Who knows what kind of deals are happening in these proverbial smoke-filled rooms that the courts have noted is tantamount to an attack on our liberty in this state, because that's what our open meetings laws are supposed to do. We're supposed to allow people to understand the workings of the government, how they come to decisions. So I'm very concerned that the budget would even be a legal budget at this point, because how can a law be legal if it's made through illegal means? Even though they make these deals behind closed doors, and then they go to the General Assembly, they have committee meetings in public, but they have meetings before the public meeting, they have meetings after the public meetings. I think this is well documented. It's a dog and pony show at that point in time for the public. They've already made up their minds. They already decided. It's already been decided behind closed doors. So if the town is really interested in ensuring that people get the information they need to make informed decisions at the ballot box, the town should file a complaint with the Freedom of Information Commission. And you can look at that one Meriden case that I cited and understand the reasons behind that. Because these leaders cannot meet with the Governor Malloy. Malloy's not even a member of the General Assembly. These aren't caucus meetings because the members of the parties aren't involved. For example, Representative Cheeseman is probably not invited to the meetings of the upper members of the GOP when they meet. So they exclude members of their own party from these meetings. They exclude us. They exclude everyone. It's like a big boys club down there. And it's not, secret meetings aren't for the betterment of the public. And you can see what happens. We don't have a budget. And why? Because the leaders just goofing off behind closed doors. Have these meetings out in the public, out in the light, and the people will understand what's going on and make informed decisions on election day and vote their ballots accordingly. So, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Garbo.
I have a couple of questions. I don't know if you can answer it or not, Mr. Rando. 194 Boston Post Road, East Lyme. With these budget problems, we're gonna repair 3 school buildings. Now, we have that money allocated from the state already to do that job?
I'll answer it afterwards, so I'll write it down.
So we, the town, have to come up with some money too in that deal. I don't know how much, but where is that gonna come from if we, I think it's time to probably get serious and privatize the trash, and maybe we sell the water and sewer department. Maybe that's the way we can cut some expenses and get some cash for the town. There's a couple other things I want to say, but I can't remember them. I don't know. There's one other thing I thought was important. I would like to have an answer on that, on the education thing there. If we have problems with the budget and we don't get what we're supposed to get from the state, so what happens and how much money the town has to come up with in that deal. And, I think seriously, we should talk to our representative and our state senator. Binding arbitration should be done away with. We should put this back into the hands of our boards to handle contracts. And if they don't want to take what we offer, they can go on strike. With binding arbitration, they always get what they want, especially with the education system. That's one thing we should look at and do away with. Time has come. And time has come to stop giving these unions their raises every year because it cannot be afforded right now. And this is not going to go away, like Mr. Nickerson said, in 2 years and 3 years.
I said 10.
It's going to take a long time. Could be 8 or 9 or 10 years.
I
I'll
said
probably
10.
be dead by then, but you young people are going to have to look at it and face up to it. But I think it's time to start cutting. Don't wait.
Wes Furman, 178 Boston Post Road. Mrs. Hardy, I totally agree with you. Once you give someone something, it's very hard to take it away. And I think she already has it, because she was at my mother's property the other day. Plate number 60EL, green, Subaru Legacy, looked like a 2003 to me. And on that subject, I think it's a waste of our tax dollars that she's out there right now anyway. All she has to do is walk downstairs in the building department. My mother's building plans are on file. She can see how big the house is. We don't have a CO yet. So why is she out there doing an assessment on it when the house isn't even done? The building inspector hasn't even signed off on it. If she wants to come back when it's done, that's when she should come out. Why is she coming out now and then I would imagine have to come back out again? Mr. Nickerson, you know, we can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. Can't predict the future. You know, it's an election year. Anyone sitting up at that table right there might not be there to lead us through the future. We need to look seriously into putting our needs in front of our wants. I think Mr. Rando had a good point. The town's been doing that for many years, wanting and purchasing on wants, not on needs. I think we need to get our needs under control. We lose $8.6 million. We lose $1 million. Things are going to get very tight around here. Laying people off is not going to be a good thing. We're not going to have happy people. There's a lot of unhappy campers in East Lyme already, and that's going to cause a giant uproar. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'd love to hear your list of needs versus wants. There are comments?
Just very quickly, the budget that did pass did contain significant sections that related to mandate relief, both in terms of project wage thresholds for binding arbitration, different mandates, MBR requirements down the board. So again, that was addressed in that budget. And with regard to your microgrid, great idea. Particularly with Eversource underwriting it. As part of the DEP's new comprehensive energy strategy, microgrids are being promoted. And we only have to look at Puerto Rico to know what an extended period of time without power would do to any community. And the fact that we could at least have some part of town that would maintain power in the case of a catastrophic power outage, I think is to be commended. So well done to the board and Eversource for exploring this possibility, because I think it's a real important gain for this town. Thank you.
Great. Your granddad wants to hear some information on the schools and some other things. The schools, of course, that was a referendum that passed by the town, and I'm going to answer your question. You had a question. So the school referendum already passed.